Now time for the 7 things you'll be talking about today. Number 7.
The University of Alabama has been ranked the number 1 most conservative college in Alabama and the number 14 most conservative college nationwide. It's in the 2025 niche.com best colleges list. Yes, this is probably a niche list, no question about it. And this follows a visit from President Donald Trump and hosting the official 2024 GOP presidential debate. Other universities included Auburn University and Auburn University at Huntsville. What? Well, the University of North Alabama is the state's most liberal and the 25th most liberal in the country. So there you go. You have a bunch of lists here talking about what these schools are and how liberal and conservative they are. Well, think about that when you're sending your kid in there. It's University of Alabama at Huntsville, by the way.
Number 6.
Let's talk a little bit about the Northern Beltline. That's the $5 billion plus program where they're going to basically say, okay, we're going to build a ring road around Birmingham. It's a make-work project. I mean, I'm not suggesting that none of this has any validity. There are probably parts of that road that make a lot of sense, and they should knock those things out. But should they be discussing this in the sense of a massive $5 billion project? Probably not. Palmerdale Fire District Chief Jason Howell penned an editorial that ran at AL.com and YellowHammerNews.com, where he argues, though, the real story here is not about money and it's not about economic development or reducing delays. It's about emergency response time and saving lives. This is a hard sell. $5 billion for a road that you're basically going to tell people, hey, if you don't support this, you must want people to die. I don't think that works.
Number 5.
I was very happy with that we are now talking about, or were talking about this when all of this started. Drug dealers who are responsible for the death of young people being held accountable. An Auburn man, Jaquan Adams, will now spend 12 years in federal prison for selling a counterfeit fentanyl pill, to a local teenager. Adams was arrested in March of 2021 for the overdose, which led to the death of this young lady. The case highlights the dangers of synthetic opioids and the need for education about risks. They think, oh, I'm just taking this little pill, and that pill is laced with something else, and they find themselves dying. And that's exactly what happened here. This guy's 23 years old. He's going to jail for 12 years for the death of this young lady, and I'm glad. I'm glad to hear it, and this should happen more often. Go after these drug dealers, lock them up.
Number 4.
Some people say that there are websites or apps or whatever you want to call them that are worse than drugs when it comes to addiction. TikTok is one of those. United States Senator Katie Britt has condemned TikTok after a report on NPR laid bare TikTok's harmful policies. And I think it's very, very interesting to see all of this. It also lays out their harmful policies, their disregard for the user's mental health, despite their own research showing that this is, in fact, a massive problem. Britt argues the rise of social media usage by children and teenagers is tied to the mental health crisis, and that Congress must act to protect the well-being of American kids. And you know what? She's right. And I'm looking forward to them actually doing something about this. This is exactly correct. NPR is a problem. TikTok, a bigger problem.
Number 3.
Former President Bill Clinton is out there criticizing former President Donald Trump for scuttling a bipartisan bill that would have, quote unquote, dealt with illegal immigration. Know this. If it would have actually dealt with illegal immigration, they wouldn't have wanted it handled. Okay? So just know that. But while he was doing this, he argued that if migrants, including the killer of Laken Riley, were not allowed into the country, then Laken Riley would be alive. Yeah, that's right. So if the Biden administration hadn't opened up the border at the beginning of their term, letting Laken Riley's killer in, Lake and Riley absolutely would not be dead. This is an indictment of Harris and Walz and Biden, and not, an indictment of Donald Trump. That's ridiculous, and everyone knows it.
Number 2.
Secretary of State Wes Allen is the latest Alabama politician to speak out and say, look, what they're trying to do here inside the state of Alabama is what they're doing in all sorts of other states, like Virginia, where they're saying, hey, you can't take non-citizens off the ballot. Why? Because they want them to vote. In Alabama, it's a little different. In Alabama, they did away with ballot harvesting and things like that. And the argument that some voters have made right before an election, for some reason, even though this law's been on the books for a while, is that disabled people can't vote unless they allow people to come and take their ballots for them. Well, what's actually happening is they're trying to prevent paid political activists from exerting undue influence on voters. Attorney General Steve Marshall will fight the law and continue to set absentee voting parameters, and they will handle this, and they're right.
Now, time for the number 1 thing you'll be talking about today.
If you're wondering why Kamala Harris is running around trying to pander to this group or this group, it's pretty clear. Donald Trump is beating her. President Donald Trump is the strongest Republican with black voters since 1960. Yep, the strongest Republican with black voters since 1960, particularly among young black men, but not just young black men, all black voters. And I know we want to slice and dice this thing as much as we possibly can, but you don't need to do that. All you have to do is look at it and say, okay, Kamala Harris has issues here with one of her core groups. Now, this is interesting to watch. And now Vice President Kamala Harris saying, oh, black people aren't happy with me? Would you guys like some free stuff? How about some race-based loans? How do you do, my fellow blacks? How would you like a loan that you don't have to pay back, huh? That's free stuff from the government. And we're going to give it away based on your race, which, by the way, is illegal. You can't do it. She's promising something that she cannot provide. And then on top of that, she's like, want some weed? Do you guys want some weed? You get in my van. I got some weed for you. This is equal parts brilliant and absurdly insulting because it basically says, hey, black people, you want some free stuff and drugs? That's the argument she's making. Would you like some free stuff and drugs? And the media is like, oh, so brilliant, so strong, so brave. The Trump-Vance campaign accurately responded by noting that their plans will benefit all Americans. Quote, Kamala Harris's failed policies have caused inflation to outpace wage growth. President Trump delivered real results with a booming economy and will deliver economic prosperity once again. See, Donald Trump is not out here saying, hey, black men, hey, this, hey, that, hey, Hispanics, hey, this. He's talking about everyone. And there are people who will say, oh, I like that. It's not the pandering. On the left, they're pandering, and I think that has lost a lot of its punch. And I think I know why. It's because it's exposed. The pandering is now exposed. In the past, you just do this pocket pandering where you go around and you pander to this group or you pander to that group or you pander to this group. But now everyone sees it. If I go to the Academy of Quadriplegic African-American Hermaphrodites and I go in there and I say, hey, listen, my plans are great for hermaphrodites. Here are the things we're going to do specifically for hermaphrodites, for quadriplegic. We're going to do it for all these people. It kind of makes people who are not African-American quadriplegic hermaphrodites go, well, what about me? So then you have to go over to the group of people that say, hey, non-African-American, non-quadriplegic, non-hermaphrodites, here's what I'm going to do for you. And you look like you're being dishonest because you're saying different things to different people. And that's Kamala Harris in authenticity. There we go. That is what the problem Kamala Harris is having overall, is how fake she looks. And Donald Trump, his argument is, why don't I just say the same thing to everyone because everyone's going to see it anyway, and we'll just do that. That's the correct answer in all of this. So the pandering, I think, backfires at this point. I think you're starting to see a little bit. Plus, it's insulting. Oh, you're black? Would you like some drugs? I think that is just kind of an insulting thing. Oh, free money? Or would you like some free money? Give you some of that? Trying to buy their votes. And that's what it is. We'll talk more about this. Obviously, as we move through the program, you are more than welcome to jump in here and get involved. 866-494-WVNN. I'll tell you what, if you get involved, I'll give you free money. I'll give you free money. You'll get free money. I'll just give you stuff if you'll get involved. 866-494-WVNN. I'm not actually giving you anything. That is the scoutpestcontrol.com WVNN hot take text line. You can also get in here. Email us. Dale@WVNN.com. I don't know what's happened there, but that's okay. We'll continue right here on WVNN.
Get WVNN's Dale Jackson's 7 Things You Should Be Talking About Today right in your email box every morning. Go to yellowhammernews.com and sign up today.